Hello. It's that time once again. Oh my goodness. These are always so much fun, so exciting.
That one time a month I turn on my camera.
I am in meetings with you. I know this to be true. Jen, Brandon, how's it going? It is August. It is 2023. It is the Windows Insider Webcast. We are here once again. We took off July because of vacations and all that kind of fun jazz, so it's always fun to be back to do another one of these. I'm really excited because we have a fantastic group of folks today to come in and present all about a File Explorer. We've got so many different topics to cover. It's going to be great. How's it going? Like, what's new? What did I miss? Anybody take vacations or do anything fun last month? I know there was
so many games. There's so many games out right now, and Starfield's coming out soon.
Yep.
Being an adult is hard sometimes.
Brandon, what is behind your head?
It's a taco hat.
Oh.
Or it's one of the taco hats. I also realized that Jason, to compliment the taco hat for me, Jason bought me a turkey hat that I just found, but it was for Christmas. We're gonna take the Christmas legs off, or the Christmas things off, but
oh gosh,
yeah. It's been a long time since we wore those. I always had the cat ears too.
Brandon, you were ridiculous. I'm like literally crying over here. This is so ridiculous. Oh my goodness. Anyway, hopefully everybody in the chat can see us and hear us and all that kind of fun jazz. Give us the thumbs up or say something in chat just to make sure. I always like doing audio checks, but nobody seems to have complained yet. So I think we're good. So without, I don't want to delay any further. I'll just say, as always, Brandon, Jen, glad to have you here. Good times ahead as usual. And to everybody that's tuning in, thank you for joining us once again. Appreciate you making the time. These are so much fun, and obviously you chose to be here, so we thank you for that. Without further ado, let me bring on the panel. And we go from 3 folks on screen to 8 folks on screen. Hi, everybody from the File Explorer group. How's it going?
Hey.
Hey, everyone.
So, for the folks that are tuned in, if you look at faces and names, you might notice 2 familiar names and faces outside of me, Brandon, and Jen, of course. And that would be Xander and Nikita. But we have some of their counterparts here today joining us as well. And I will actually flip this over, and we can go through a round robin so they can introduce themselves. So let me take our smiling faces off the screen and get just the File Explorer folks on here. We will just kind of go in clockwise order as they are seen on screen. So Harshal, if you could go first, please.
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm Harshal. I'm a product manager with the Windows File Explorer team, and I'll be talking about the Modernized Details pane today, a new feature which we are bringing to Windows.
Awesome. Nikita.
Hey, everyone. So nice to be back here. I'm Nikita Tiwari. I'm a product manager with the Windows Files Experiences team as well. I've been with Microsoft about 2 years now, and some of the focus areas for me have been bringing in intelligent experiences in File Explorer and modernizing File Explorer, which we'll be talking about today. So yeah, so nice to be here.
Awesome. Xander.
Hey everyone, I'm Xander Fiss. I'm a product manager working on File Explorer for a long time now. I'll leave it at that. I'll talk a lot more about the stuff I work about in the presentation. So I guess going in clockwise order, next is Shishir. Go ahead.
Hey everyone, my name is Shishir Pillai. I'm a product manager on the Windows File Explorer team. I joined Microsoft in July 2021, so it's just over 2 years for me as well. I have primarily worked on campaigns that drive cloud engagement, specifically for OneDrive and M365. I own the settings UX in File Explorer, and I have also ad hoc involvement in different experiences in File Explorer, one of which is photos, which we are going to talk about in this webcast. So nice to be here.
Awesome to have you. And of course, Jonathan.
Hey everyone, my name is John. I recently switched into product management about 2 years ago, so I've been at Microsoft for about 2 years. I work on search, and I also work on OneDrive integration and some of the modernization pieces in File Explorer. So super excited to be here. We'll talk a little bit about the modernization of the address bar and search box and that whole area inside of File Explorer.
Excellent. Well, to the entire team, thank you so much for being here today. We really appreciate you making the time. No doubt there's going to be some education happening today. It's always great to get insights on features that are showing up in the OS, changes that have been made over the course of time. And there's no better way to do that than to hear directly from the folks that are working on it, because, I can sit here and try to talk about it, or Jen or Brandon, but who better to do it than the people that actually own it and work on it every day. So again, thank you for making the time. Really appreciate it. And of course, a reminder to the insiders that are tuned in on YouTube. If you got questions, throw those in chat along the way. We will be collating those. We may attempt to answer some of those real time if we choose to. Generally, we hold them till the end. And so just keep tabs and know that we will do our best to get to all of those that come through. So with that, I will turn the show over to you. I believe, Xander, you're going to present.
Yeah.
So let me know when you have that ready. And
Sure. Yeah, thanks for kicking us off, Jason, as always. Let me know if this is working.
Okey-dokey. One click on my end. There we go.
Okay. Great. So first I'm going to start with a bit of a recap, especially if you watched the last Insider webcast that we did for File Explorer that I participated in, to cover a bit of like where we've been and how we got to where we are now, the overall strategy for how we're modernizing File Explorer. So I'm really just going to be in this slide deck for just a minute before popping out to do a little bit of a demo that I really like, that I feel like illustrates some of the points that I'm going to make here. We are using a methodology called islands to modernize File Explorer systematically over time. So I'm going to go ahead and pop actually out of this screen share and into another to talk again a little bit about why this strategy in particular makes a lot of sense for File Explorer, and we'll give some context for anyone who wasn't in the previous webcast for the journey that we're on. So yeah, if you could confirm the screen share, it should be working. Just to someone could confirm that that is indeed showing.
Yeah, you have Task Manager up on the screen.
Yeah. Okay. So I think this is a fun little demo that makes a point on, let's say, for example, why it makes sense to modernize File Explorer in place and take a holistic view on Windows files UX across the Windows shell, as opposed to, say, for example, a strategy of, let's say, making a brand new application. So if I go ahead and I close Windows Explorer through Task Manager, just leaving Paint up, and I go here and I go to the File Open dialog, what you'll notice is that I actually still have File Explorer essentially hosted in the Paint application, like at runtime. What I'm trying to demonstrate here is that there's a deep level of integration with File Explorer into not just the Windows shell, but the way that the app platform utilizes it. So when you think about File Explorer, it's more than just the app window itself, but it's also the desktop surface, and it's also the common file dialog, which is that file open and file save dialog. And there's an expectation of a portability of these experiences between surfaces so that you can be used to using File Explorer in the app window itself. And then let's say, for example, you move over into another app, you're composing an email, you want to insert an attachment, you use that file picking dialog, you're going to be able to get to all the same features that you would expect. So yeah, just a little demo to try to kind of show some of the internals of how some of this stuff works and why taking a strategy that keeps these things aligned and tightly coupled to each other makes a lot of sense. And if there are questions on that, please put those into the chat and I can elaborate on anything at the end of the call. But with that, I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint presentation. We're going to have some demos from the other folks on the call, and then at the end, I'll come back on with Shashir and we'll talk a little bit about the File Explorer gallery. So give me just a moment. Bear with me. Take just one more second. Okay, so assuming you can all see my screen now, next we are going to talk about Home with Nikita.
Hey everyone. All right, let's dive in. We are introducing a modernized File Explorer Home powered by WinUI, which incorporates, as many of you will be familiar already, the Fluent design system that we see across the Windows OS. And now it's coming to our homepage. And that means that the experience on Home will be better than ever before. Additionally, we're introducing recommended files on the homepage. And this functionality right now is specifically for enterprise users. This is a section you'll see at the top of the homepage and gives you direct access to files that are the most relevant to you at a given moment in time. So you can quickly find them right here. You don't need to dig through your folders or browse them anywhere else. Just save time in your day. And these files may be files that are stored within your OneDrive, or files that you have access to from SharePoint, or files that you've been given access to by other people from their OneDrives. So there are a couple of examples here on the screen as you see on these file cards. So let's say you have a meeting coming up or a meeting you just attended and that had a PowerPoint related to it that you need to review. Or a file was shared with you, there are comments and mentions for you on it, and you're just looking for it to get caught up. So any file that you're likely to work on next, you can expect to see here in the recommended section. So yeah, that's the intro. Let's take a look at what it looks like in action. So Xander, if you can go to the next slide, we'll take a look at one of the Windows Insiders builds as it states today. So yeah,
should I go ahead and click play?
Yeah.
Okay, let me just, I think I might have to share my audio. So give me just 1 second to reshare my screen with audio.
Actually, there's no audio.
There's no audio. Okay.
Yeah, I'll be talking through it. So.
Okay, sorry about that. My
no,
bad.
Okay.
Okay, so it's presenting again. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and click play, Nikita.
Loading for me. 1 sec. Okay, yeah, I see it.
Okay.
Yeah, please go ahead. All right, so I'm signed in here with a work account, so I can see the recommend section at the top of the homepage. And recommended is essentially a carousel of files that you see here. And I can flip through these like a reel and find the file that I need. And the files here, as you can see in the card format, they each have a thumbnail preview, the location, timestamp, but also the activity or the reason why these files are recommended to me so that I'm aware why this is relevant to me at this point and why this is surfacing up here in this section. The video seems to have paused. Is that just for me or?
It, for some reason, is paused on my machine, even though it says it's playing. So let me just try to,
okay.
There it goes. Okay.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. So here I can interact with it like any other file in File Explorer Home. So here I choose to launch it. I also noticed a couple of files that are very important to me and I want them handy at all times. So I'll go ahead and select them, unselect that one over there, and right-click, add to favorites. So these now surface in my favorites list. I can access them at any point in time. So yeah, you can see favorites and recent functionality remains as is, just in the new WinUI design. And let's speak to what you see on the homepage if you have a personal Microsoft account, not a work account attached. So you will not see the recommended section. You will continue to see the quick access folders. So your pinned and frequently used folders that you see today, just in the new WinUI design. So yeah, that's the walkthrough from me. These features are all live in Windows Insider's channels today. So please try it out if you haven't already and share your feedback. So we'll love to hear from you. Thank you.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you, Nikita. Next, we've got Harshal to talk about the new modernized details pane with file insights.
Thank you, Xander. So continuing with the theme of making you more efficient and productive, we are launching a modernized pane in File Explorer. Many times you open a file just to ensure that it is indeed the right file, or to figure out if there are any updates related to the file you are collaborating on. With this modernized details pane, you can get all this information without even opening the file. As you can see on the screen, this pane on the right-hand side of the File Explorer window will display a lot of contextual information about the file, like the file thumbnail, the file name, the share status, share button, and file properties. But in addition to all these properties, there will be a lot of insightful information as well, including file activity, who edited the file, commented on the file, and this will help you quickly get up to speed. It will also show related files and conversations so that you get the relevant content right then and there. So that's a quick overview of what the feature is all about. Some of this information would be shown based on availability. Not all files would have, for example, related files on conversations or activity, and this information would be shown wherever available. Let's take a quick look through a real working code demo of this feature. By the way, this feature is also in the Windows Insider channel, so you can try it out. Xander, if you can play it. Okay. Once a user selects a file, the details pane shows up all contextual information as I already described. You can then scroll through this details pane. You can quickly select another file, as you see in the video here. Again, look through all the information, make sure this is the right file, get to the related files and conversations. And lastly, with the toggle button on the command bar, you can easily open and close the pane as required. So with this feature, we are hoping that your browsing experience in File Explorer will become smooth and more efficient. As I said, this feature is already in the Insider channel, so please try it out if you haven't and provide any feedback. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Harshal. Next, we're going to have John to talk about the modernized address bar with Cloud Files integration.
Cool. Yeah, so this is just a screenshot of the modernized address bar in File Explorer. I think just taking a second to just look at this and appreciate the modern WinUI at the top with the tabs and the navigation buttons, the address bar, and the search box. I think it just looks so awesome, at least from my standpoint. We did a lot of work to model this after the browser. The browser is one of the most used applications inside of your computer or whatever device you're using. And so we really wanted to make an intuitive system for people that feels familiar and feels fresh. And so that's what this modern address bar is all about. I think one of the coolest things, at least for me, is I take lots of photos, and these are really just memories that are just so awesome to kind of look through and remember. And losing those memories would be super, super, I think, sad, and I think create a lot of emotional scared, at least for me. And so the address bar really talks and helps users know whether or not they're in a cloud location or not, and whether or not your photos or your videos or your most important files are backed up. And so in the left-hand corner, you see this OneDrive flyout that pops open. And so anytime you're navigating through your stuff, you know that we have your back and everything is backed up. And I think that's just a peace of mind that I get from the address bar. And so whenever you're navigating through your things, check out that button. It'll tell you if your files are syncing, whether or not your account is set up correctly. And if you're not backed up, we help you get into a good flow. And so, if your music or videos or documents or anything are not backed up, we'll help you do that as well. But yeah, I really just like the look and feel of the new File Explorer, and I hope you all do too.
Thank you, John. And those are some incredible photos. It looks like an awesome adventure.
Of course.
It's were you up on Mount Rainier when you took those
just
photos?
a little background. These are some photos that my friends and I went to for Mount Adams. You could actually see it in the address bar. We did a little ski tour up there, and so, like I was saying, making sure that those photos don't get lost or deleted, it's important, and so that's why this feature is really meaningful to me.
Nice. All right, so with that, I'm going to actually pop out of the presentation and give a demo, live demo, of File Explorer Gallery. Give me just a second to pull up my virtual machine. Okay.
Live demos are always the best. This is how you know we're doing it real.
Yeah, it's gonna work. Of course it's gonna work. So I expect everyone has seen Gallery and probably used it if you're on the Insider Webcast. So I'm less tempted to kind of cover all the basics, and I kind of wanted to instead pivot towards a tip, a hot tech tip. Everyone loves a hot tech tip, right? So one of my favorite features in Gallery is the collection flyout, not just to include different locations, but you might not realize you can actually include a location and then a sublocation, and you won't see any duplicate photos in that way in Gallery, but it'll help you scope down. So I'm looking at everything here. So, I've got pictures that I took on my cell phone, like I made pizza last night, right? Took that on my phone. But then I've also got photos that I've taken with kind of just different cameras. And so let's say, for example, I want to specifically look at this folder, Lightroom exports, which I'll just show is underneath pictures. So if I go there, I'm going to see some of the photos that we saw before, but really it's a subset. So that's super helpful. Let's say, for example, if I want to, by default, be able to see everything, but then occasionally I just want to scope down to a subset of that content. So I think that's just sort of nuance, something that you might not realize that you could do. So there's your hot tech tip of the day. And next, Shashir is going to talk about the Add Phone Photos feature, which is available both here in the command bar as well as if you have no content at all and you see our what you'd call like our empty state splash screen, will also be offered there as well. So with that, Shashir, go ahead and take it away, and you can give me instructions, and I will follow your instructions on screen.
Yeah, thanks, Ander. So talking about this feature, photos are a very important piece of content for our users, just like how John emphasized that how priceless those photos are for him, and photos have memories associated with it. So it's really important for us as a File Explorer team to make sure that users are having a good experience when they're working with their photos in File Explorer. As we were conducting user research to understand what are the key photo workflows or the photo scenarios that we can help users with, we realized that one of the key problems that users were facing was getting their photos from their mobile devices onto their PC. And it's an ask that has a lot of hassle today and users really need help with. Today, users try a bunch of workarounds to get around this, like emailing the photos to themselves and then downloading them on their machine, or doing it the traditional way of using a USB drive and transferring all the photos, or maybe just not using their Windows PC altogether and just doing it on their smartphones. And so we wanted to make sure that we design an experience and have something for a user that really makes the job of getting their phone photos onto their PC very seamless. And so Gallery is not only optimized to help you view the photos you have taken in a format just like the camera roll on your phone, but we also have a feature that helps you set up camera roll right on your phone so that your photos not only gets backed up to cloud, but you can also see it right in this gallery view. So we have a new feature or a button that's integrated in the command bar flyout called as add phone photos button. And when a user clicks on that button, they are taken to a OneDrive web page where you can scan a QR code from your mobile phone camera so that you can download the OneDrive mobile app and set up camera roll backup so that all your phone photos on your phone gets backed up to OneDrive, and you don't have to go through all the hassle to get those photos on your PC. You'll get it directly loaded up in your gallery, and you can enjoy viewing your phone photos and doing a whole bunch of things with it, like sharing it with your friends and family, or doing different types of editing if you want to do a TikTok or Instagram reel. So yeah, just like all the other features mentioned, this feature is also on all the Whip Insider builds. So do try it out, and any feedback or any suggestion is always welcome. So yeah.
Thank you, Shashir. All right, so with that, I think I just got the friendly reminder up on the on the screen is the last slide in our presentation deck. I think we're ready to move on to any sort of Q&A or open discussion. What do you think, Jason and Brandon and Jen, now that you're back?
Yeah, I will use this opportunity while it is on the screen to talk about feedback, because Jen and I talk about this quite literally every single webcast, and it's super important to cover. But while it's up on the screen, for any of the topics that we've covered today, given that they are all related to File Explorer, when you pop into Feedback Hub, whether you're submitting a suggestion or if there's a bug that you found that you would like to provide insights on, under the category and context. So for the category, select Files, Folders, and Online Storage. And then under the secondary dropdown, which is the context, drop it under File Explorer. And then, of course, one of the best things that provides lots of really helpful information is to use repro mode and to also include screenshots if at all possible. So those two things together will help make sure that the feedback that you submit has the right logs and has the right contextual information to help the folks that are going through and looking at this and doing triage make sure that they can address whatever concerns you may have shared, or as of course the suggestions, because we know insiders are always full of suggestions of things they'd like to see. So that goes a long way in making that happen. So with that, let me take a moment and flip back over now that we're done presenting. And now we're all back on screen except Jen. Jen, her team's crashed. So let me fix. This is
sorry.
No, it's all right. This is one of the joys of the Teams integration with OBS. Let me take a minute and I'll fix Jen's video here. It's all of it. 2 clicks. Round number 2. Here we go. And in about 3 seconds, Jen will pop back up. And there she is.
Like a real human.
I know, we're back in business now.
So we're actually live.
I know, right? That is the joy of doing webcasts like this. So with that, there are some questions that have come up in chat along the way. Brandon and Jen, I know y'all have been doing some collation of those as the presentations have gone through. And let me just say real quick to each of you, great demos. I'm glad the live demo went well. Great content that you put together. John, I was going to ask you if that was really y'all in those photos, because you know how it is with stock photos and you got to create, presentation materials or whatever. The fact that that was actually y'all, I've jumped out of planes before. I've done crazy stuff in cars and on motorcycles or whatever. But seeing the pitch of that mountain, I'm not going to lie, like my hands started sweating just looking at it. I was like, seriously? And like I said, even having skydive, I was super excited, didn't care, wasn't worried about the parachute or anything. But there's something about steep angles that just like something triggers in my head and it makes me the slightest bit nervous. So it looks like y'all had a good time. And so obviously it's really nice that those photos are there. So keep those for the future, of course. But enough of me sitting here yapping on. There were some questions, so let's pop back to that. Brandon, Jen, is there a certain question that you would like to tackle first?
I think the first question to tackle first is the questions on the performance. So I think, Xander, we already talked about this, so I'll let you take it from there, and then I have another one after that.
Yeah, I think the question and the answer on performance are both straightforward and simple. Are you working on making File Explorer's performance faster than some of the experiences that they're seeing now in Insider builds? And the answer is absolutely. Performance is critical to the experience of using File Explorer. People rely on it every single day. And so making sure that that's a fast, performant, reliable experience is our top priority, essentially. And so we're absolutely working on that.
All right, cool. The next question is back at the very beginning about the new homepage. I wanted to kind of clarify the recommended, the highlights at the top of the of home with like the thumbnails. That's only for AED accounts, correct?
Right. You need to be signed in with your work account to have those enabled. Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Because I know some people ask questions about that. Next up, we had some curiosity. So if there was a video, and we may not have the right information for this right now, but there was a video that was shown during build that showed Git integration with File Explorer, and we did get quite a few questions asked about that. I'm not sure.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm, definitely involved with that project, but we don't have the right collateral and folks here to really dive deeper into that today. So.
Sounds like a topic for a future conversation.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, because there's a lot of excitement there for that.
Mm-hmm.
We did get some questions about dialogues. I don't know if we wanted to kind of address that, but like the copy and save dialogue, there was a lot of people asking when we might consider updating that to match the rest of the File Explorer visuals.
I can't talk about timeframes, but I can talk a little bit about what makes that a little bit challenging in particular for anybody that might be like a computer scientist or, otherwise, more involved in that way. So as I showed in that demo, the dialog, the file open and save dialog is hosted in process today in the calling application. And so injecting XAML into that process is an interesting technical challenge and something that needs to be solved. So it's definitely something that we're thinking about and that we're making a plan around, but don't have any updates today on a time frame on when to expect that.
Cool. Yeah, we'll have our insiders watch that space. Is there any future plans to do more XAML conversion for like the in different elements? I think there were some questions around whether or not the folder view was going to be XAML. I know that there were some questions about whether the nav bar, the navigation pane, is also XAML. So we had some questions there around that.
Whenever we're innovating and adding new features, as you can sort of see through everything we presented today, the standard is that we're going to add those features using WinUI 3. We are going to, or something equivalent in modern. So we don't plan to do additional innovation that uses legacy UI tech. It's just about finding the right moment and the right experience to bring an overall modernization to the various pieces that are being called out.
Okay, cool. There was a few people poking at this in the chat, and I'm also curious myself. Native PSD previews and like in File Explorer, does that happen through like is that something that comes through like Adobe Creative Cloud, or do we natively support that? Some people were asking about that.
It's been a minute since I've actually worked with a lot of Photoshop files personally and looked at the previews in File Explorer, but there's something called a preview handler shell extension that any app can implement. And so if, again, and I I'm not entirely sure. I should double check on this for PSD specifically, seeing that there's such an interest in it. But individual apps produce a preview handler that they register with the shell, and then when that file type is selected, that preview handler code is invoked to decide what to show in that area. So if it isn't working, it's possible that Adobe hasn't implemented it, or that it's not being registered, or maybe there's a bug. So
We have another good question that just came through from Matthew. What was the biggest challenge in trying to add WinUI to File Explorer? There seems to be a lot of people who are actually really excited about the File Explorer moving to WinUI, wanting to hear more around that. I'm not sure what else you guys can do to expand, but I'm throwing that out there.
I think that would be a question that would probably get a deeper answer from our development team, in terms of the challenges that they experienced doing it. Because I think from a product management point of view, it's been a huge opportunity. There are so many challenges that would be associated with not doing WinUI, right? But WinUI really opens up the possibilities to bring modern experiences from the point of view of product management and design. From an engineering point of view, I'm sure that there are countless challenges and hurdles that our engineering team could talk everyone's ears off about, but they're not here today, so we'll have to kind of leave that for another time.
I know from the perspective of investigating some of the feedback, I think some of the challenges came into like trying to figure out where the fixes need to come from, because there are a bunch of different layers, and as reports are coming in, you have to figure out who needs to change what to get stuff fixed. But
yeah,
it's my immediate thought.
I'd say that thematically, that's whenever you're working on something as complex and layered as File Explorer, where you think traditionally there's integration with the file system or with apps that plug in, right? Figuring out where exactly is this crash or issue coming from. But definitely with WinUI, because we are collaborating with a team that is essentially helping us to craft controls that not only File Explorer can use, but that everybody can use. And that's part of the philosophy of how we want to approach a lot of the work that we do. Is whenever we add something to File Explorer, we want to make sure that other people can create experiences that are coherent. We're essentially contributing to the holistic design language of Windows 11. So we work with the WinUI team, and so those controls are essentially common controls, and there may be bugs in the control, there may be bugs in the way that we're implementing the control. So of course we have to go investigate on a case-by-case basis and figure out exactly where in the stack any given issue is coming from.
Yeah, I was actually going to say there's some interesting stories that we had around the address bar and modernizing that. We got a clean slate to build a modern experience, to think about other people that might use the applications. And so, like accessibility users, people that need help with keyboarding, thinking about that and that their story, what that looks like, was an interesting challenge. At least from the address bar team, we talked to a lot of different professionals in that space, talked to users, really got in a sense of what's a more modern way to keyboard navigate, to have a narration, all these different things that we think about. I think those are some interesting challenges in the WinUI platform, and all the stuff that our partners are doing here at Microsoft to help us improve the accessibility for others is also just a cool thing that we all work together on. And I think those interesting challenges, those stories that we faced when we were modernizing just different parts of the UI, I think are starting to show. And I think we're improving the experience for a lot of people in the world.
Some people,
awesome.
Some people don't realize or don't think about the fact how old File Explorer is. As how old some of the pieces of File Explorer are.
Yeah, I was going to say that's exactly one of the challenges that I can think of, is you have to be cognizant of the limitations from the old tech. and see if you can address them in your MVP. So yeah, that was top of mind to see whatever limitations we can manage to fix.
Are you trying to date yourself, Jen?
I didn't have this gray hair when I started at Microsoft, just for the record. Although
just to tease everyone, File Explorer, I think it was first written in 1995. Is that correct?
The start menu was Windows 95. Oh. I thought File Explorer was older.
Oh, well, I guess it's older than me then.
There's
Oh god.
You can still download. You could download the old file manager. We open sourced it, and you could download it from the store.
I thought it was in GitHub too. But yeah, was it File Manager 3.0, 1.0, something? Oh it's a thing. It's real. You can do it.
Jonathan, it takes a lot to make me feel old, but you just succeeded. You're like, 95, I was learning how to drive, and you're like, yeah, I wasn't even around back then.
Happy Tuesday.
In 2 weeks, it's going to be my 15-year anniversary at Microsoft, and all I can think is like, I'm coming close to that time when there are going to be interns that are younger than how long I've been at Microsoft.
The day is coming. The day is coming.
Anyway.
I think File Explorer can teach us all a lesson about retaining our youthful appearances. Sometimes all it takes, Jason, is a clean shave and a hat to take 10 years off.
Now, the hat, you're right. If I clean shaved, I would probably lose, honestly, probably 10 or 12 years off the way that I look. But
baby face.
Maybe not in a good way.
I recognize you.
Who's
that guy?
I have not been clean shaven since I was 21. That was 22 years ago. I don't know what I look like clean shaven anymore.
Someone's going to start a GoFundMe for the next webcast. You'll have to shave everything.
Oh, that is funny. We do have, so Microsoft does the Give campaign every October. Last year, somebody was shave the beard or keep the beard and color it and whatnot. There was a whole fundraising thing about that. I don't know. Maybe I'll have to sign up for that. We'll see. Oh, goodness. Thanks for the trip down memory lane. Brandon, were there other questions, or did we just about cover everything that had popped up?
There was one thing that came up that I had just flagged where got a comment about how great files overall look great in File Explorer, but there was two questions were specifically about improving File Explorer search, and I'm not sure if we have the right people here to talk about that, but
Jonathan is a good person. Jonathan, putting you on the spot.
Yeah, the people are like, I like how my files look, but finding the files is a little bit tricky, and so I wondered if you could piece out that and talk some of that.
Were there any specifics in the chat about anything about search in general, or is it just kind of search in general?
Search in general and reliability of finding the file that you want seems to be the gist.
We're always looking and improving File Explorer search. In February 23, we did some pretty big improvements about search and searching from home specifically too. Search from home is kind of like that one-stop shop where you can start looking for your files if you don't remember where it is in your device. We added many different things like your most recently used cloud files, all your index files. Everything there is kind of like that place where you can go and search. So we've been doing improvements like that. We've been thinking about the UX. We've listened to a lot of feedback about, different tools out there that allow you to search and see your files as you type. And so, our experience didn't do this before. And in February 23, we did a lot of improvements to make that a possibility. But we're also looking at the future too. You can see a lot of like what's going on with search and in the AI space. These are just, things we're keeping an eye out on.
Awesome.
And I don't know, does anyone else Salesforce team want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I want to plus one something that you said, that I think you kind of went through a lot of improvements and things that we've done, but something, and a hot tech tip people might not know. So if you search from home, and you mentioned this, because this didn't do this before, if you're not used to or in the habit of searching from home, you should give it a shot because it now includes everything that's indexed. So that's going to be everything under your user folder by default. And so that's just something definitely to give a shot if you've been using File Explorer search and you're like, oh, this is slow, this might not be working. There's all sorts of differences in terms of how search is performed depending on where you do the search from. So if you do it, say, for example, from this PC, a lot of that search is going to be slow because it is going through sections of your hard drive that aren't indexed. And so that's going to take a really long time as it goes through individual files and folders. But you should have a really lightning fast and mostly comprehensive search if you try from the home experience. So give that a shot if you haven't.
Which I guess is an extra add-on. Like, if you're not able to find a file that you know exists somewhere on your hard drive, you should check what is being indexed, because not everything gets indexed by default for various reasons. And like, if it's indexed, you'll find it faster.
That being said, if you do want to look through your indexed locations, if that's like the job you need to complete, this PC is still there for you to do that.
So I think, Xander, you had a question that you wanted to
Yeah.
answer. I wanted to give you an opportunity to do that. And then I have one other question, or I have a question
Sure.
from Jeremy that we should get to as well.
I was scanning through the chat a little bit, and something that caught my attention was about the Add Phone Photos feature and maybe not seeing the full scope or depth of what that can do. So again, with everything that folks see in insider builds, everyone's seeing a preview or kind of like a snapshot point in time for how things are. But that is a protocol invoke, kind of just like HTTP, FTP, anything like that. And as you know, just like file types, protocols can be registered for by apps to handle that. So it's not restricted to OneDrive, and the ability to do more creative and interesting and powerful things with that experience is there. Because essentially what's happening now is that when that button gets clicked, a protocol launch happens, and currently what happens is that protocol is listened for and that web page is brought up. But the possibilities to make that a smoother experience, to have it work with other providers, is all there and it's all on the table. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Cool. Yeah, that's cool. And is there like any pointers that we could give people for like the third party side? Like, do you have we can put a website link in the chat if needed?
Yeah, we could do that offline.
Okay.
I think we're still working on getting everything documented and published for all the new features. So
okay, cool. So the next question was from Jeremy, and he asked a really good question about recent files and recent file locations. And he wanted to know, how long are the recent files and recent file locations stored? Here we go.
I don't think it's time-based. I think it's based on the number of files that are in recents, and it's first in, last out.
There's also a difference between there's like the local recent files, and then there's the Office or M365 recent files, right? Which has slightly different logic.
Yep. So if and Nikita, I'll just say a little bit about this and then you can pick up where I leave off. But the homepage, of course, if you're just using it with local files, you've got the local Windows shells concept of recently used files. If you have an account connected to Windows and you use Office, your Office most recently used and favorite content is also collated. So if you want to elaborate on that or add any more detail.
Yeah, so essentially the home view is a merged view for across all your accounts that you've logged into Windows with, right? So if you have, let's say you're logged in with your work account, you have a couple of files that you're accessing locally, you launch a couple of files from your OneDrive, or you go to SharePoint and you access those files over there. So those files do show up in your recent list as well. And as you access more files, they show up at the top of the recent list, and then the ones that are older get removed from the list. So yeah, all sections are always across all your accounts that you sign into.
I'm just looking to see anything else. Why are some specialized folders like games and links folders icon only and show the respected icons on the large icon view and not in details view?
Not sure I follow.
I'm not sure either.
Those are the old. They're talking about the user folders. You know how
Oh,
all
I
the
think
different user
what they're
folders
talking
have
about is
different
that
icons.
they're talking about icon scaling. It sounds like that at different view modes. Okay, so an ICO file, if you open it up in an ICO file viewer, is going to have different icons defined for different icon sizes. Like here's what it should look like. It's 16 by 16, 32 by 32, 48, 96, 192, 256. And so if you're seeing a discrepancy between one and the other, details versus icon view, it's probably how the ICO file is. If there's a bug in one of our ICO files, please file feedback.
Jeremy's coming in with these technical questions about files, recent files. What's the cap on local recent file folder location list?
I don't think I remember that off the top of my head. Yeah, we'll have to double check.
Jeremy, we'll follow up and I'll try to get you an answer on Twitter or something. We'll figure it out. Why am I not surprised that Jeremy's asking that question? That's prototypical. Oh my goodness. Let me throw something on top of everything, right? All the questions that have come through and whatnot, because I don't want this to be overlooked and I don't want this to go without saying. The amount of people in the chat today that have just complimented the work that y'all are doing between the visuals, the enhancements, the changes, the functionality. Like, I want everybody who's working on File Explorer to like pay attention to what's happened in chat and to go back and look at some of the comments along the way. There's a lot of people that are providing a lot of support for the work that you're doing. So anytime you're having a tough day, something's not working quite like you want, you can't quite figure out how you want it to look or feel, or, you know, the technical implementation, something's hard, just know you have not only the insider team, but you have the whole insider group externally cheering you on, because the things that you're working on are what we use every day. We need the work that you're doing. It's literally part of our daily workflows, regardless if it's us internally at Microsoft or quite literally the hundreds of millions of people around the globe using Windows 11 day in and day out. Like, the work that you're doing is influencing how we conduct our workflows and how we get work done on a daily basis. So just a giant way of saying thank you, because the work that you're doing is really, really impactful. And so I just want to underscore something I said at the beginning, which is thank you. Thanks for taking the time to come and share this, because without all the work that you're doing, well, you know where we'd be. And so I just want to say thanks again.
I want to add to what you're saying a little bit. I think that perspective, I mean, obviously it's nice to see the praise, but the point of view of this is something that people really depend on, that they really care about, is something that informs the way that we approach our work every single day, without a doubt. It's a huge privilege to work on File Explorer, to work on something that's that meaningful to so many people. It's responsibility, but it's a great privilege, and you all and everybody that use it informs the way that we really approach our work every single day. I know I already said that, but I just want to emphasize it, that it's goes beyond just the feedback that gets filed or the comments, but just taking that step back and thinking about things from the point of view of how everyone is going to use the product, making sure that we're being holistic and inclusive in that way. So it's always great to see that the effort to do that is appreciated and seen. So thank you very much.
Goodness knows we don't want to go back to 95, right? We don't want old school File Explorer. I wouldn't know how to drive, and John wouldn't even be here. So, you know, at the end of the day, I think we're better off where we are today than where we were back then.
Dang, I think I shot myself in the foot telling everyone I was born.
Just having a little fun. I know we've covered a lot of ground here. Lots of good presentation material, tons of Q&A. Again, shout out to the insiders who have joined us today. Thank you so much for being here in real time to ask questions, to engage. Thank you for making the time out of your day and your schedule. Of course, to the presenters, all the folks from the File Explorer team, really appreciate you making the time. No doubt, lots of love, and of course, there will be more to come in the future. So hopefully, you'll be willing to come back on and speak a little further about some more of the awesome work that you're doing, as we've got another round of updates coming into the future. No spoilers, no secrets, right? But there's always more to come, so no doubt there will be more to cover. Parting words, any last little tidbits of wisdom before we wrap up for the day?
I would say the feedback thing, but you already did. So
yes, I did cover that. That.
Run the builds, try things out, give feedback, and as we flight over time, we'll always be shipping fixes to improve the experience in File Explorer. The team hears you on the performance stuff, and so over time you'll get to see that progress across all our channels. So run the builds, take the flights, give the feedbacks.
Sometimes people think if we don't address the feedback immediately, we're not listening. But tabbed File Explorer is a great example. That took us a while. But we really do, we read all your comments. We prioritize them. We put them into planning. I mean, the address bar updates. I remember when we did the tabbed File Explorer work, there was just a huge surgence of people being do the address bar and search box next. And here it is. and we're continuing to look at the list of items that you want us to do, look at our own lists of things we want to do, and so
excellent. Well, I don't have any other way of topping any of this, so we will wrap there. Again, thank you, insiders. Thank you, File Explorer team. And we will be back with the next edition of the Windows Insider Webcast. We'll bring you more of this great goodness with your feature team friends, us from the Windows Insider side of the house, and we look forward to seeing you. So with that, we will bid you goodbye until next time. Thank you all so much for attending.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Bye.